the Fandom Zone. It is I, General Zod, and it is good to see you. Welcome to episode 2 of Watch Anime. And tonight I'm going to be talking about a classic, one anime that everyone universally should know, the very popular and very important DBZ. Commonly known as Dragon Ball Z. Okay, so I'm going to be giving a little bit of a history and a little bit of a breakdown about this series. And my friend, my buddy who does these, will be jumping in, I'm sure, momentarily. But for now, I'm going to talk to everybody here, and we're going to talk anime. So I decided to cover Dragon Ball Z, and I decided to cover Dragon Ball Z because it is the most recognizable anime I think ever. Dragon Ball Z has a very interesting history, and most people don't know that there was a series before Z. Z was really the launch pad to make the Dragon Ball brand famous. But before that, there was Dragon Ball. So I'm gonna give you all a history, and then maybe if you're in the chat, you can throw in what your favorite Dragon Ball episode is, or if you have a favorite character. But anyways, so let me get started. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of history on Dragon Ball Z. It was originally a manga that was pretty popular in Japan, but it wasn't until it got adapted that it really started taking off. Dragon Ball was wrote by Akira Toriyama, and it ran in Shonen Jump. Now, the interesting thing about Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is that it was one of the top dogs as far as Shonen Jump is concerned. Uh, Dragon Ball was the one that was under like the top four, I'd say. There was Dragon Ball, there was um, One Piece, and then I believe the other one was Bleach. So those were the big ones that you had in Shonen Jump. And if you guys don't know Shonen Jump is one of the popular publications in Japan that does manga, which is kind of like the comic books of animation. So um, that's a little bit of history, on Dragon Ball Z. So Dragon Ball is the adventures of Goku. Goku is a Saiyan who was sent to planet Earth. He was supposed to rule over it, but he decided to not rule it because he was taken in by humans, and thus the wacky adventures begin. And what's really interesting about this is that the first set of animes dealt with Goku being a kid. So you have Kid Goku, and he has this long, kind of monkey-looking tail behind him, and he has a staff that he uses. And what's fascinating about the first Dragon Ball is that Dragon Ball Kid Goku really doesn't have any powers. He's got a staff and this weird little cloud thing that he rides around on, but no real big powers. All right. So if any of you guys have seen Dragon Ball Z, there is big battles, epic light shows, and sometimes an episode takes like 40 episodes before you get through a fight. 20 of them are talking and exposition. But the early Dragon Ball show, Goku as a kid was hilarious to watch. It had a lot more comedy. And I think where Dragon Ball started taking off was when you got out of the first arc and you got into Z. Z is where you started to see more battles. You started to see character development, and you started to see these characters come together in an interesting and fascinating way. So, this is a landmark in the Japanese animation scene. I mean, Dragon Ball Z is one of the pivotal ones that no matter who you are, if you ask someone an anime, just name one anime, there's two go-tos that they'll always go to. People will say Yu-Gi-Oh! People are going to say Dragon Ball Z. They're the two most recognizable ones. So what makes Z so good? Well, for me, Dragon Ball Z for a fighter had a lot of emotion. It had a lot of character depth. Welcome, Tommy. Good to see you. We are talking Dragon Ball Z. Um, so Dragon Ball Z had great development, great character depth, and it was one of those shows. What's up, Lou? Good to see you. Welcome to Watch Anime and the discussion about Dragon Ball Z. So I'm going over some things that I like about Dragon Ball Z, and one of them is that the show has great character development. When people watch Dragon Ball Z, they tend to think it's all just a bunch of talking, a bunch of fighting. But if you look beyond just the talking and the banter, there is a rich world and character development within that world. You had a lot of running storylines that were really great. Now, I think what hurt the later episodes was that Z had started these storylines, and by the end of all of Dragon Ball Z's arc, everything had been wrapped up and tied up. And when you get to GT, everybody says that Dragon Ball GT is the less entertaining of the three arcs, but I think it was just that Z did such a good job of mixing raw emotion, good character development, and a great long-running set of storylines with very memorable villains that by the time you get to GT, it kind of goes backwards. They turn Goku into a kid again. The villains are, so you lose a lot of stuff in between these arcs. So Dragon Ball is a very interesting study because Dragon Ball Z was one of the top dogs for a long time, and it was on top with Bleach and One Piece. And these were the big things for the shonen publication. These were the big dogs that brought in revenue for shonen. And I look at Shonen Jump now, and it's interesting to see these new mangas and these new animes being made coming up from kind of out of nowhere. Everyone loves My Hero Academia. Yep, Naruto. But Lou, Naruto would come later. The big ones even before Naruto, were Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, and One Piece. Those were the big three. And then Naruto came along, and Naruto changed the game. Yeah, Shonen did Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Never quite climbed the ranks of the rest of the big, I call them the big 4 or 5, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Just never quite hit that plateau. Whenever you asked people, the big ones, they always look for it. And I mean, One Piece is still running, so that thing's got staying power. But I wanted to talk Dragon Ball Z with you guys tonight because I wanted to get the chat's feelings, see what ones you like, see what you don't like. And hey, if you guys will watch this later, then definitely take notes. And in the comments, tell me about your favorite character and what your favorite episode is of Dragon Ball Z, because I'd be really curious to know. Trigun, Cowboy Bebop were before Naruto as well too. So Trigun and Cowboy Bebop were older animes. So very true. But once again, those were self-contained mangas. Vegeta and Brawly. I agree, Lou. Brawly is a great character. Brawly is one of those types in anime, or just in general, in the show in general, where you have that one villain who comes and everyone agrees, that's the dude. That's the dude who's like really scary, and Vic Mignogna was the guy who voiced Broly. I think it was horrendous how that all went down with him, but he has been the voice of Broly since like, oh god, 90s. So, but yeah, Broly is a great character, and Vegeta is one of my favorite characters as well. I always thought he got played. Yeah, Vic is a legend in anime, and it was a shame what happened with him. So while we have a chat back and forth, I'm gonna hit you guys up with some facts on Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z uh, picks up after Dragon Ball. And why I'm focusing on Dragon Ball Z was because I think the most relevant arcs happen there. So it's 5 years after Dragon Ball, and Goku is an adult. He's a father. He has a son called Gohan. And it all starts when a Saiyan named Raditz enters Earth and is trying to track down Goku. And Goku has a family. He won the world's tournament. He doesn't know much about his Saiyan heritage. And then, bam, this dude Raditz comes and you know, hits him with his name. And he goes, you know, you're a Saiyan. You come from a proud warrior race, and you should have conquered Earth already. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they get into a big battle, and you know, stuff starts to happen. And this was interesting because this right here was a great setup. Now, yeah, I like. I'll get to Nappa. We'll kind of break it into the arcs, and I'll see how long it goes. But this is the first arc, and I really call this the Vegeta and Nappa arc because even though Raditz is in here, I think Vegeta and Nappa are really the highlights of this arc. But you know, Raditz was kind of a beast too, and he was the reason why Goku, you know, I'm doing air quotes, died, because no one really dies in the show. But you know, they go to King Kai's place, and you know, they kind of train there. But Vegeta and Nappa. Yep, I agree. Vegeta and Nappa are two Saiyans that are coming, and Goku has no clue about until this Radish character shows up. And if you followed the show from Dragon Ball, there's a character called Piccolo. He's also one of my favorite characters. He and Goku have beef since he was young, and you know, they squash it, they settle their beef, and Goku essentially sacrifices his life to kill Raditz. He grabs him from behind. Piccolo does his special move, and he self-sacrifices to save everyone. And this really sets up for everything that's going to happen in this arc that is really Nappa and Vegeta's show. Because when you see Raditz, you think he's the main bad guy, but plot twist. Before he dies, he lets him know there's someone worse coming to Earth, and that's Vegeta. And now keep in mind, the way the Saiyans work is they're a warrior race, and they gain power every time that they lose a battle or fight in general. So win or lose, Saiyan gains power unless you completely kill him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Piccolo, Kame, all of them. They're really awesome characters, and this is why I like Dragon Ball Z. Like, everyone thinks that this show is a fighting show, but really Dragon Ball Z is very character driven. It has a lot of things in it, and it builds a lot of different things and races and themes and stuff like that. I mean, you've got the Saiyans, you got the Nameks, you got tons of different people in this world that inhabit this world, and it's a really intriguing thing to see. And it's cool to see also the different fights and how they win, and you know, all the things that are developed. It just, I love it. So the first arc was Raditz and Goku. Yeah, Vegeta did mess that up. The first arc was Raditz and Goku. and Goku sacrifices himself, kills himself, and then they get this ominous message. And Goku, before he dies, he wants Piccolo to train his son Gohan, so that he could be prepared for when these guys come. So Gohan and Piccolo go off. They go to do some wild training, and Goku dies. He trains up in, I suppose, in its heaven, and you have this impending doom of Vegeta and Nappa coming to Earth, and that's kind of where they leave things off. And it's a lot of episodes. There's like 20 or 30 episodes. Some have more than that. Some arcs are bigger. But it's very engaging. The storylines are great, and the character development, even in the filler episodes, you can see how relationships build and things like that. And with Vegeta and Piccolo, or Vegeta and Nappa, I think Vegeta has the best character arc probably in all of DBZ, because when it first starts out, Vegeta comes to Earth and he is just fulfilling his mission. He wants to take over the Earth. He wants to do what Goku should have been doing. And no one understands that when Goku fell to Earth, their plans got messed up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even the filler episodes for this, unlike most shows, even the filler episodes have good character development. They have things in between there that you can watch. So, I mean, it's still worth checking out the filler episodes, which is amazing because not very many shows can do that. But so you have a split, and Piccolo and Gohan go to train. And I mean, let's highlight that for a second. Piccolo and Gohan's relationship, they develop like a pseudo bond where Piccolo is almost like a second father figure. And everyone says that they like Goku, but I hate the fact that he's always propped up, because when you really think about it, he's a terrible father. I mean, dude has died a ton of times, just leaves his son with people. He's always wanting to fight, always picking a fight, sometimes putting Earth at risk. So, I mean, I don't know. I always thought Goku was a bad father. I'm sorry. It needed to be said. People overhype him. But anyways, so he's died and he's training. And Piccolo starts out with this cold, calculated training plan for Gohan. And he's like, you're a Saiyan, and we know what you are now, and I got to find a way to build up your strength. And dude literally puts Gohan through hell. I mean, his training regimen is thank you, Lou. I agree. His training regimen for Gohan is just nuts. Like, he will fight Gohan near death. I mean, he won't kill him, but he will come at him hard. And I liked Piccolo's way of thinking about things, because he was like, in a real life or death situation, I mean, enemies aren't going to sit back and show mercy to you. You're going to be fighting for your life. And Piccolo, I guess, in a sense, is protecting him by showing him the truth that these battles are no joke. You could die at any moment. Any fight could be your last fight. So you got to go at it 100%. And I think when I think about the show as a whole, I think that them choosing to have Piccolo as a father figure was great, because it gives Piccolo's character more dimension, and it helps develop Gohan's character to kind of have a pseudo father figure. And it makes what happens later in the series feel more grounded and more relevant. If you don't have that bond in the beginning, then you don't get what comes later. And, I'll see you later, Lou. Thanks for stopping by. And, that's the thing. That's the thing that most people sleep on with Dragon Ball, is that they don't understand the connections that it makes. What they do that a lot of shows don't do is that shows today, they want to jump from point A to point B, but they don't ever make you care about the character. And Dragon Ball meticulously crafted a story where everything is interwoven and connected together, where you formed bonds with these characters and you cared about the characters. And the funny part is, essentially, Goku is meant to be the central character of the story. And yet, at the end of the day, I find that no matter who I talk to, they uh, they all like different characters. Like me personally, I love Vegeta. Some people have liked the bad guys. Some people have liked the good guys. But the character development, and keep in mind, people will say, "Oh, it's a cartoon," but the character development for this cartoon, for this show, is so deep that you wind up caring about different side characters. I mean, I even have love for Piccolo. He's had a lot of cool arcs, and he's done a lot of cool things in the show. So you have that going on. You have Goku. Goku dies. And of course, Goku is big on training. And in the afterlife, he starts training for the impending doom. And the one thing that keeps the show going is they have a leveling up system. And you don't see it a lot now, because what happens with this form of show writing is that sometimes a character runs into a point where there's no place for them left to go. So when you get into the new Dragon Ball Z's or GT, it kind of gets ridiculous, because you're told there's a power cap, and then they push the bar and they say, "Oh, no, no, you can go past it," and it kind of got crazy. But the original power cap was that there's this Super Saiyan that the Saiyans can go to. And why I make fun of Captain Marvel is because originally in Dragon Ball Z, they were doing that, all right? When Goku got powered up to Super Saiyan, his hair goes straight up in the air and it turns like platinum blonde, okay? Like, he's got the blondest hair ever. And funny, when Captain Marvel broke out of those chains, what happened? Her hair got wavy. She got a bunch of power around her, and it turned gold. I'm just saying. I think they need to sue. Captain Marvel straight ripped off this show. But anyways, so the next arcs that you have is Nappa and Vegeta. Nappa and Vegeta were probably some of my favorite villains. Nappa is a very brutish, angry type of Saiyan, very practical. And Vegeta is the man. Vegeta is cocky. He's arrogant. He's sure of his abilities. He is just a fantastic villain. And when they come in and they just start wrecking people. So Dragon Ball Z has an ensemble cast, and the people who fight are called the Z Warriors. And you got Krillin, you got Master Roshi, you've got Gohan, you've got Piccolo, and you've got Goku, if he's alive. And these are the people who defend Earth, basically. And when Vegeta and Nappa come, they just start destroying stuff right away. They want to attack the leader, and they think that Goku is the leader. Little do they know, he's already dead. So they send these people after him. Gohan's got to cut his training short, and the battle begins between Vegeta, Nappa, and the Z Warriors. And the great thing that this show does is that they build a sense of tension throughout each episode. You only see a little bit of power every so often, and then when you think a good guy is going to win, bam, the bad guy grows more powerful. There's a bigger obstacle. And I think that's a problem that's missing with a lot of writing. People today don't like to wait for the buildup. They want everything shown to them right away. And what I appreciated about the old animations, the old animes, is that they made you wait for that extraordinary power. And we'll get to Frieza's arc in a little bit because that's like the greatest arc of all time. But they made you wait to see what was going to happen next, right? You would get a fight, and then you'd think, oh, the good guys got him, and bam, the villain would come out with some other new power. You'd find out they were holding back, or you'd find out that there was something else going on. So yeah, I agree, Tommy. Disney writers, they can't do their own stuff. But yeah, you would find out that there was always a new plateau to cross. And the other great thing about Dragon Ball Z is that Dragon Ball Z is such a great example of overcoming insurmountable odds. It's that show that proves that hard work could get you past your obstacles. I mean, these were cosmic villains, sure. And sure, Goku is a fictional character, but look at what he represents. And look at what the good guys in this show represent. They represent hard work and training. And, they represent giving it your all in insurmountable odds. There's high stakes, but that's life. Even when you're working, when you're at a job, when you're going for a position, if you don't give it your all in life, then you're not going to make anything of yourself. And this is the other thing that I miss about these shows and, animation in general, is that they don't show the struggle. Watch any cartoon, man. I watched the horrible Saturday morning cartoon lineup. There is no good cartoons on there. I mean, it is atrocious. What's up, Nico? Good to see you. And Tommy, that's true. That's what makes DBZ such a great landmark anime, is the fact that this show builds their characters and builds them well. This show also, to me, inspires. Like, I would watch this before I go to the gym, watch this before I get ready to do a competition, get all hyped up, be like, if Goku can save the planet, I can win a tournament, It's kind of a funny comparison, but it's true, man. There's a lot of different lessons that you can learn throughout the show, and I think that's another thing that anime is doing that other cartoons and mediums aren't doing. We always complain about these shows, the writing, the way that they portray certain characters, the way they highlight certain things. And one thing that I liked that the show did was that guys, girls, androids, other races, everyone was on an equal playing field. Anyone could beat anyone. And I really liked that aspect. And it wasn't because, oh, this character's a woman, that she's powerful. It was because this character worked hard, they got a power level, and bam, they whooped ass, but the second arc I was talking about was Vegeta and Nappa. And now this was interesting because we're introduced to an ability that the Saiyans have. The Saiyans can become giant, for lack of a better term, monkey-like creatures that shoot fire out of their mouths and destroy whole planets. And this was really interesting because the Saiyan race, this was their trump card. And later you would find out a villain would come along named Frieza, and essentially he would kill all or most of the Saiyans. And it was because he feared this ability that they had. And yeah, Saiyans are bad dudes, man. Also, alongside of that, they have the ability to level up every time they win or lose a fight. So, I mean, Saiyans are beasts in this world. And so, Vegeta and Nappa, they get into it with the Z Fighters. They do their best to hold off, but they can't. And bam, Goku returns, saves the day. Now, this is where you first see Goku's power and how it works, which is that Goku gains power immense power every time, just like any other Saiyan, he wins or loses a fight. But there's something different about him too. When his family or his friends are in direct danger, he just pulls out like this X factor. And this is where you kind of first see a unique power he has called the Kaioken. And it is just amazing. It turns all red, goes all crazy. It was just spectacular. And it's really a great arc. And the great part about this, which I loved, is they don't kill Vegeta at the ending. Vegeta just kind of leaves and licks his wounds, calls it a day. So the next arc that I'm going to talk about is the Frieza arc. And this arc right here, this arc is the most fascinating. It's legendary. This arc is the arc to me that made the show great, because Frieza probably goes up there with one of my favorite villains across multiple mediums. I mean, he's conniving, he's powerful. He's the type of villain that is so strong, but unlike most villains, he doesn't let you know how strong he really is. I mean, this dude destroys planets with his fingertip. No lie, he blew up a whole planet with just the tip of his finger. Now tell me, how awesome and how like creative is it to come up with a villain like that? Like, he's in this little hub around thing. He looks skinny, and the dude can blow up a planet with the tip of his finger. That's crazy. The other great thing too. Yeah, I agree, Starwoke. The transformation, it was a very awesome one. I do agree, the way that they did each episode and the transformations taking such a long time used to bug me. I mean, I hate when you were sitting there, you got good into a battle, and then bam, they said tune in next time to see what was going to happen. It's like, oh, come on, man. That used to annoy me. But at the same time, I do respect the fact that, like good shows back in the day, they had a hook. They hooked you in and they kept you guessing. I remember every Saturday morning, every Saturday, right before you go to school, they used to have Power Rangers, DBZ. I mean, it was that morning lineup, and I would watch Dragon Ball Z right before I got ready to go to school. I would be so hyped, getting my backpack and all of that stuff. And it's a shame that this stuff is missing for the next generation. Man, my daughter doesn't have that stuff. I watched the Saturday morning cartoons with her. I watched the stuff before school. Man, it's garbage. But anyways, so the Frieza arc is one of the most compelling ones, and Frieza is an interesting character. I wouldn't say he was necessarily all bad, but as far as bad guys go, he's pretty evil. I mean, he's got, like, from what I can remember, no redeeming qualities whatsoever, but a really cool set of moves. Yes, I went to school, but not on Saturday. Dragon Ball Z used to be Monday through Fridays, and then they had the Saturday morning cartoons. So if I went to school Saturday, it would be sad times. But yeah, I mean, Frieza was an interesting character because Frieza was all bad, but had a certain kind of charm. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is, but it's a particular charm with this character that makes them a villain you love to hate. Frieza was like one of those villains that if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. And before, when you're watching other shows, you're used to a villain talking about what they're going to do. And then the good guys come in and they defeat them. And I remember watching the episode with Frieza where he destroyed Vegeta's home planet and killed all the Saiyans. And it was so awesome to see a villain that not only lied, but did exactly what they said they were going to do. I was like, wow, this is a bad dude. I mean, he literally destroyed and wiped out a whole population of people with his finger, just because. Could have been bored, could have been worried. We'll never know his exact motivations. And this is a cool arc because it goes back to Piccolo's home, the planet Namek. And you get to see that the Nameks are a pretty powerful group of individuals. Like, I always liked Piccolo, but my favorite episode probably of this arc was watching Piccolo fight with Frieza. Because Frieza and him have a battle. And he gives Frieza enough of a run for his money to where he literally transforms to another form. I think Frieza had like, God, I think 3 forms or so. But Piccolo went toe-to-toe with him, and the Nameks have this thing where they can like merge with other Nameks that are near death. So it was really crazy because yeah, that was after the fusion with the Namek Warrior Nail. That was my favorite set of episodes because, I mean, I always thought Piccolo was a badass, but after I saw him fuse with Nail, and they were like, he's like, I'm a super Namek, and I go, what the hell is a super Namek? And they just, like, his speed went up tremendously, and it's funny because this introduced one of the most famous things in Dragon Ball, and that was the Power Reader. And Frieza's group had developed this like headset where when they look at a warrior, they could tell how powerful they were because the powers would show up on the little dial. And it was so interesting because Frieza, you know, underestimated these people because he based everything on this little scanner thing. Yep, over 9,000. I remember, bro, when Goku came back and he could suppress his power. Frieza first reads Goku's power, and he's like, oh, he's only at like 8,000 or some number, and then Goku lets out his power and breaks their headset because his power is so strong. Like, this is a show that was so good. Like, this arc was so good. The most memorable, I'd say, across of all of Dragon Ball Z, the most memorable showdown is Frieza versus Goku, like the last fight. There's a lot of episodes, but Goku launches a spirit bomb at Frieza. And you think it's over because Goku has used the spirit bomb various times throughout the show, and that's always been the finisher. That's it. Once he's done that, you're done. And Frieza did take a lot of damage, but then comes out with some, oh, this isn't my actual last form, and goes into his and I'm doing air quotes, final form. And man, Goku just gets beat down. And then Vegeta comes and he starts fighting him, and my boy Vegeta gets beat down. But there is a legend. There is a legend that Saiyans can get this all-powerful transformation called Super Saiyan. And when they're in Super Saiyan, it's almost like a god mode. And no one knows how to activate it. And Vegeta goes in thinking that he activated Super Saiyan, but he really didn't. He just got stronger, and he gets the bejesus beat out of him by Frieza. And all hope looks lost. And what happens? I'll never forget. And I love this. This scene to me was so amazing because it's an animation, and the way that they capture it is just like chilling. So Frieza basically kills Vegeta, right? Or I mean, at least, you know, at least hurts him, and he kills Krillin. I mean, he just lays waste to the Z team. Goku's looking, And there's a point where Goku's angry, and then there's this point where you look at him and he looks broken. And this is where anime has such great drawings, because you can see it. This is a different feeling. Goku is not mad, he's not sad, he just looks broke. Like all hope is gone. He's lost everyone. He truly has nothing left to lose. And all of a sudden, a gold aura goes around him, his hair goes up straight, and bam! He achieves something that no other Saiyan has done for years, and he becomes a Super Saiyan. And when this happens, it's amazing. I'll see you later, Shellback. Thanks for stopping by. So, I mean, it's amazing. When he goes Super Saiyan, that moment to me was so well drawn, so well animated, because when he goes Super Saiyan, in that moment, it's like all of the pain, all of the loss, everything he's gone through, he uses and internalizes, and it takes him to another level. It takes him to that level that fighters get. Good to see you in the chat, Lonely. It takes him to a level that fighters get when, you know, they're on the ropes and there's no hope left. And I think that's the strength. Hey, Stig, good to see you. I think that's the strength that Dragon Ball has, was that it was cool to see that this person, they were broken, and it looked as if they were going to lose. Oh, Stig, you warmed my heart. They were broken, and it looked like they were going to lose. And they dug deep, and they pulled out that last bit of whatever it is that fighters use, that last bit of ditch effort to win. And I think that's what makes this series and what makes this season such a pivotal moment in the show. And honestly, you had the Cell saga, you had the Majin Buu saga, but I think that the Frieza saga, out of all of the arcs in Dragon Ball Z, was probably the one that, one, had the most gains, and two, had the most significant character growth. And I mean, you get other ones in the Cell saga, and Majin Buu just kind of nicely wraps everything up. But for me, we'll see you later, Nico. For me, it will always be Frieza's saga that I love the most. And my favorite character will always be Vegeta and, you know, Goku. Or I mean, Vegeta and Piccolo. And, you know, Goku's alright. But anyways, I mean, for me, Dragon Ball Z is a cornerstone in anime. It's a cornerstone in anime. It's a cornerstone in anime because DBZ helped pave the way for Americans to really get in touch with the whole anime craze that was going on. DBZ helped pave the way for other animes that were unknown to hit the shores and kind of get recognition. And like I said last week, Akira and Ghost in the Shell were the first movies to hit a general audience. I think Dragon Ball Z was the first show to hit kids and the general audience. I mean, you had Dragon Ball Z and Yu-Gi-Oh! That were kind of on the front lines. And once those blew up, those crazes, they were the ones that started this whole crazed and trend that would later bring us great shows like My Hero Academia, Attack on Titans, and other stuff. So I wanted to give a little bit of love for Dragon Ball Z, and I wanted to just go over a couple of arcs, some reasons why I think it's a real cornerstone within the anime community, and I wanted to get your feelings. So I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter than I normally do, because I'm going to set up for my late night talks. But I wanted to let y'all know, Dragon Ball Z is worth checking out. If you got some free time, just give it an episode or two. See if you like it or not. I'd suggest starting with Z before you go to Dragon Ball, because that one's a little crazy. Start with Dragon Ball Z and watch it, and don't just look at it as a cartoon. Look at the storylines, the messaging behind it, working hard, family, you know, powering up through hard work. That's what the message is of this show, and I love it. I think it's a message that's missing now. Kids aren't being told that if you work hard, you can get something. Or sometimes you'll work hard and you'll fail. The problem the problem that we have with these SJWs and with all of these people that have infiltrated medium is that they want to tell you you can get anything because you're entitled to it. And I love Dragon Ball Z because it proves the opposite. You're not entitled to getting what you want. You have to work for it. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be trials and tribulations. You're going to get knocked on the ground. The only way that you truly earn something is that no matter what happens, no matter what kind of beating you take, you get back up and you try again. And if you fail, you try again. You keep going until you succeed. That's the only way you get anything in life. You're not going to be handing it to you. That's not how the real world works. And that's why I love this show. Because these characters don't come on screen and go, I'm a man or I'm a woman, so give me this. They work hard. The guys or the girls on this show. Or if you want to be technical, the aliens. Okay? This show was about working hard and the effort and the blood and the sweat and the tears that went for them to work towards a goal. And then when they accomplished it, you felt like you were enthralled with these characters because every time they succeeded, you succeeded. That's what makes a great show. What makes a great show is when I can watch it and I feel the journey with the characters. I felt like when I watched this, I was training alongside them. I felt like every time someone gained a level, I gained a level. I felt like when someone won a battle, it was earned. And, you know, people can say, well, that's ridiculous. This is a cartoon. It's sad that a cartoon has more of these core values than most television shows out there. Most of the television shows aren't talking about that. Look at kids' cartoons now. I think that we would benefit with more shows like this that talk about strength through hard work, that talk about believing in yourself, that talk about believing in the people that you come up with, not stepping over them, but working hard with them to achieve a goal. So tonight in close, folks, I want to tell you guys, go check out Dragon Ball Z. Let me know what you think. Give it a couple of episodes, see what you think, and then report back. And if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, leave comments below. Tell me who's your favorite character. What's your favorite episode? What do you like about this show? What grabs you in particular? Do you feel as passionate as I do that this show is the antiphony of hard work? Or, I mean, is it just something fun? I don't know. It could just be me. I get passionate about these things. But anyways, thank you everybody for checking out this quick little discussion into the cornerstones of Dragon Ball Z. Next week I will be coming back to you on Sunday, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll do some Gundam. Who knows? But I'm looking to have Lethal Lightning on that discussion, and I've also talked to Fatal J, so he may make a guest appearance. But thanks everybody, and don't forget, shortly here I'm gonna go into the night talks. I know everyone's waiting for that, so we're gonna have PB, the Lonely Man, maybe Purple stop by. Who knows? It's a wacky show, and we got some killer topics. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You got to go and watch them. But everyone who stopped by, I just want to give a shout out to you. So thank you, Stig. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, LB, not only for being here, but for making that amazing background. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Starwo, for stopping by. Lou, I appreciate you coming by, man. It was awesome. And, you know, thanks everyone who supports the channel. And please, if you like the channel, tell everyone about me. Get the word out. I'm really close. I got my watch time, and now I need to get the subscribers coming and going into our great talks. We talk about relevant stuff, and I want to reach more people. I want to let more people know about the great community that we have going on and about the fandom zone. So thank you everybody for joining. As always, this is General Zod, and remember the golden rule here on the channel: kneel before Zod.